Okay, we got here an Overtone special by Ceriatone, including the C later tube effects loop, all built into one unit. And the owner just got this shipped to him, and it does not work. And he's hopeful that it's just a tube that was damaged in shipping, and so am I. Maybe that's all it is. But he wants me to open it up and give it a clean bill of health and report on anything I find that makes him less than happy. So I figure you guys would probably want to tag along for this one. So let's turn this thing around and open it up. First thing I'm going to do is just make sure we don't have any vacuum tubes that have lost vacuum, in which case they just suck. Yep, there we go. That white, you seen that? Yeah, that white means it's lost vacuum. And that was a JJ, and it is toast. And the quarterback is toast. Let's see here, I've got well, those are for another amp. Let me pull one of my spare 12AX7s just to make sure the amp works. And I will talk to the owner and see what he wants to order for this. We can probably do better than JJ's for a relatively nice amp. And I'm still gonna open it up and make sure that that's all that's wrong with it. Plus, you know, we all wanna see what's inside. But if that's all that's wrong with it, that's what the labor charge will reflect. But he did ask me to make sure the whole thing was good after shipping, so certainly worth going into. Only take all this out and put this in, we'll fire it up. Okay, with that Mesa branded Sovtech in V3, which is a phase inverter, the amp makes signal, has sound. If you can hear that rushing in the background, that's environmental interference. Something in my environment has changed. I've not tracked down what it is. It might be a computer power supply. I'll figure it out. But once the amp is shielded, that goes away. So it's not really a concern. It's late at night, and this thing is loud, even at half power. So I'm just going to show the cleans for now, and I'll give you a little tour over things. Everything looks just fine inside. It's built like a Ceriatone. Not to pick fights, it's not the best built amp in this style, the Dumble style, but it's usually quite good for the price. And this one would meet that criteria. It's got, as far as the coupling caps and the resistors go, that's great. All that stuff there that you see, let me point to it with the pointer. All this stuff is great. A little less impressed with some of the filter caps. And time will tell on the transformers, and various things are of various quality, like the power switches are great, the pots are great, the jacks are fine, the impedance selector switch, it's okay. The fuse holder feels a little bit cheap. The mains receptacle is a little bit cheap, real fragile plastic, kind of brittle. They can break on these. If you have a Ceriatone, kind of baby it. So, there are trade-offs. You get what you pay for, but overall, it's quite well built. One little odd thing I noticed, here on the rear panel, you see how for the manual switches, the overdrive is up and the preamp is down, preamp boost is down. So if I play right now and then bring the preamp boost up, it turns the boost on, but the overdrive is backwards. That's a little odd to me. You'd think, since it says overdrive up here, that up would be that. It may just be 2 wires reversed. I've not looked at that switch yet. I'll talk to the owner. They moved the overdrive trim control here to the rear. The Dumbles have it on the board inside. This is a better place for it to be. I'm not knocked out by the looks, perceived quality of that DIN connector for a foot switch, but it may be just fine. All this has been the FET input. Let's bypass that and go to the normal input without the FET stage. It's just a little buffer. There's nothing wrong with it using it. There's nothing wrong with not using it. You get a little bit more gain, though that can be set with a little trim pot in there. And the FET, if you have it turned up, you can also get a little bit of a higher noise floor, which I'm getting with this, but it is a little bit louder than the non-FET version. But I don't hear anything that worries me. Let me give you guys a little tour through everything that as I see it here, and then we'll look at the C later, and then tomorrow we'll do a real playing video for this. Okay, so all this looks quite good down here. It's built to a good quality level. Nothing stands out to me like, oh my God, I can't believe they tried to do that. I'm not nuts about the alpha pot down there used for bias, because on the other side, it's just a regular solid shaft pot without a knob, but someone could still say, hey, what's this thing do? And change your bias and mess it up. But, I think a dedicated bias style trim pot would have been better. Would have cost more if it's a 25K, as it probably is. But everything inside is good. It's got a combination of those 1-watt metal film fishets, the brown ones, and the 1-watt carbon films, much like some real Dumbles. There's a couple of oxides and some metal films here and there. Nothing looks bad. Everything's neatly done. Let me flip it around, we'll look at the other side of stuff. No surprises here to anyone who's been inside a Dumble before, with the various copies, including some of the odd things that Howard did. That switch right there is the boost switch that I suspect might be wired upside down. I'll talk to the owner. I don't think it's worth changing. It's just a thing to be aware of. All right, let's look at the other part of it, the bottom of the chassis. Okay, it's got belt and sockets all around. It's got grommets for any wires that pass through. Belt and sockets, generic, non-belt and bear traps, but that's fine. That's that bias trim pot I was mentioning. And one more fuse holder here. It doesn't quite match the fuse holder here. Interesting. 2 different sizes. This is a 5x20. Is this a 5x20 or is it a 3AG? It's a 3AG. How odd to have a 3AG for one and a 5x20 for the other. Anywho, let's take a look at that C later effects loop. Taking a peek inside the C later effects loop, all seems to be well. I'll test this tomorrow when I resume some playing of this, and you'll get a chance to hear it. I've got some delays and stuff we can stick inside. We'll make sure this tube is good as well. Let's see what tube this is. Doesn't look like a JJ as far as the markings go. Sorry, it's hard to do this one-handed while holding the camera. It is a JJ. It just has a little... That's weird. Let me see if I can get the camera to show you why I was thrown off. Obviously a JJ there, right? Come on, camera. Let me turn on autofocus just a second. It's got a little print there. It says 6L6. A little gray ink that says 6L6. I've never seen that on a JJ ECC 83 before. That's certainly not a 6L6. Maybe it says 616. But the side that's pointing to me had that little gray ink that I've not seen on JJs before. So yeah, I'll make sure it's working, and I'll talk to the owner about whether he wants to stay with the JJs or maybe get what a lot would perceive as an upgrade. JJs can sound fine. For some reason, in the last year, though, they've had a real increase in problems with losing vacuum, just out of the blue. You look at it too hard, bam, white tube syndrome. So, especially since this thing is a pain in the butt to get out of the cabinet because it's got screws that go in from behind that you have to have a really long screwdriver, which I have, but be nice to have a very reliable tube in here so when it gets buttoned up, the owner won't have to think about it for a long time.